Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Chicago Philippine Reports TV, still the #1 Filipino show in the Midwest. I'm Gurley Pascual. Welcome to our show. Today we have all the top stories from the Philippines. We also have what's happening in our own Filipino American community of Chicago. We have interesting interviews led by our very own executive producer, Miss Veronica Leighton. We have Brigitte, Cueter, Carino. All these are coming up and more. Afterward from our sponsors, please stay with us.
Yan! Dito na! Perfect!
Most Asian stocks are up this Thursday, tracking gains on Wall Street after the Federal Reserve offered no surprises in its rate decision, a hold, while two cuts are still on the table for the year.
As I've mentioned, it can be the case that it's appropriate sometimes to look through inflation if it's going to go away quickly without action by us, if it's transitory. And that can be the case in the case of tariff inflation.
MSCI's regional stock benchmark climbing to its highest level since early November. Here at home, Philippine shares closed modestly higher, with foreign money now net buyers for a seventh straight session.
The expectation for this year is even better, especially the recovery of consumption. For now, the chart is showing us that the downtrend from the 7,600.
In corporate stories, broadband provider Converge ICT is allotting 20 to 25 billion pesos capex this year from just 9.3 billion last year as it prepares to undertake major infrastructure projects. These include 2 international subsea cable systems and 2 data centers, one in Caloocan and the other in Pampanga, which are expected to be completed before the year is out. And in other news, Enrique Luzon's Apex Mining reports a 28% jump in 2024 profit to 4.3 billion pesos, with revenues rising to 15 billion from just 12, thanks to higher production at its Mako and Sangilo mines, as well as favorable gold prices and a strong US dollar. Still in earnings, Alson's Consolidated of the Alcantara Group reports an 11% increase in 2024 earnings, primarily driven by rising electricity demand, favorable trading opportunities in the wholesale electricity spot market, and the successful launch of its retail electricity supply, or RES unit. This despite disruptions caused by the 2023 Mindanao earthquake. And finally, Ayala Corporation has signed its first yen-denominated term loan equivalent to $200 million or 11.5 billion pesos as the firm continues to diversify funding sources at competitive rates to support business growth.
Yan! Dito na! Perfect!
It's more fun in the Philippines.
ViaTimes, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. ViaTimes for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. ViaTime has very interesting columnists. You name it, ViaTimes has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call ViaTimes at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of this show. Today, I have a very young, pretty entrepreneur, and she's a young Filipina here among our midst in Illinois. And her name is Melissa Villanueva. And Melissa, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Hello, everyone.
Here for the occasion of the, the Women's History Month, and you are being recognized as one of the young entrepreneurs here in Illinois. And Melissa, can you please tell our viewing audience about your business, the coffee shop business, which is named the Brewpoint, Brewpoint Coffee, right?
Yep.
In Elmhurst, Illinois. Welcome to
Yeah, thank you so much. No, so I own Brewpoint Coffee. 10 years ago, I found a coffee shop on Craigslist with my 7-month boyfriend. Before that, I was in the Philippines for 3 months trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was in corporate America, I was a recruiter, but I really wanted to make an impact to my local community. And so it was out while I was in the Philippines that I had this vision to create a coffee shop, one that's a foot in the door to build a more, to build a community that I wanted to see around myself, but really what I wanted for others as well. And while I was looking for an espresso machine on Craigslist, I ended up finding a coffee shop instead. And me and my 7-month boyfriend ended up buying the shop. Had no experience, no little money. Really didn't know what we were doing, but really dedicated to getting a little bit better every single day. I married said boyfriend 4 months into Brewpoint, and we're actually on our 10-year wedding anniversary right now in Spain. But all that being said, we now have a full-fledged coffee company with 3 coffee shops, coffee manufacturing that we ship nationwide with a majority women-owned supply chain from bean to cup.
well, just out of the blue, that you form well, it should be a thriving business now, and it's a coffee shop. Do you have Filipino coffee, our very popular Barako coffee from? Do you carry that?
So we don't carry it right now, but we have in the past. I've worked with different farmers in different places in the Philippines. Part of it makes it difficult is the supply chain, because I had met with different farmers over the past handful of years and brought in different farmers at different times. But majority of our coffee comes from Costa Rica in order to have that full women-owned supply chain. And we are not just coffee shops. So we have 3 coffee shops, but we also roast our own coffee. So we ship our coffee from different countries. We roast it to our own specs, and then we ship it nationwide to anyone in the US.
Well, I'm glad to know that you know about Barako coffee.
Of course.
Really a very good coffee. Very strong.
Yes.
But anyway, so thank you for thinking of having our Barako coffee in your business. And so anyway, a small coffee shop that you have, how are you thriving so far?
Yeah, so we started off as one coffee shop back in 2014, and now have 3 coffee shops. And so we were able to take a shop that was doing about $180 a day, and we've since multiplied that by 15 for that one individual shop. So I would say that it's thriving quite well, and it's not just one, but it's multiple. And in terms of bringing in some Filipino fusion, one of our most popular lattes is actually the ube latte. So I wanted to make sure that we had some Filipino fusion in what we bring to the Chicago suburbs.
Weren't you kind of scared when you were starting that you're competing against big companies like Starbucks?
Yeah, part of being an entrepreneur is being slightly delusional. It's, when you don't know what you're doing, I think that actually ended up being an advantage for me because I didn't know what to be afraid of. I knew that people had opened coffee shops before and they'd made it work. And so at this point, I actually prefer my shops to be next to Starbucks's because Starbucks had done all the research to say this is where a coffee shop could thrive. And if you're looking for, something that is more local, that's women owned, that's, Asian owned, that's higher quality, sources locally, that's us. And so we end up being that next step that people go to after they're done with Starbucks.
So that way, are you thinking of following the Starbucks business success?
No, I would say that I'm looking to forge my own. At the end of the day, for me, it's about community impact. And as much as I think there's a lot of potential to scale, whether that's through cafes or, selling our coffee nationwide through e-commerce, I really care about impacting our local community. And so coffee shops, we know, are modern day watering holes where people can gather and meet, and connecting different organizations and people within the Elmhurst and Chicagoland community is really what I'm interested in. I actually have multiple other roles at this point on top of being the CEO of Brewpoint. I am an economic development commissioner for the city of Elmhurst, and I'm also the entrepreneur in residence for DuPage County. And so I put on the biggest entrepreneurship events in the Chicagoland area, really focusing on women and diverse entrepreneurs to help them thrive in our area overall. So I get really excited about that type of work, and I think coffee shops are a great place to start that.
What places in Illinois do you have the 3 coffee shops?
They're actually all in Elmhurst, and so that's what's kind of fun about it for us.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, in one place, and you're spreading in one place. Are you planning to spread in other places, in other suburbs of Chicago?
At the moment, I'm focusing on e-commerce and really focusing on selling our product regionally. And so, one of the things I've been really grateful for with the Illinois Made program is that they've been a huge resource in helping me advertise about my business and our website and our ability to sell gifts and to send coffee to people. And so they actually had gotten us onto a couple different news outlets like NBC and WGN over the holidays, which ended up being our most popular or like our biggest success for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And so if I was to expand anywhere, it would be in Illinois. And that's definitely something that I'd consider in the next 3 to 5 years.
Eliza, who inspired you to start this business?
Who inspired me? Oh, that's so interesting. It's a little bit of, family and my husband, because, when I met Angelo, my husband, he really he believes in me so much. And so,
your boyfriend, when you started, your boyfriend,
yeah,
is now your husband, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Congratulations. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, we got married like 4 months into starting Brewpoint. So it's our 10-year work anniversary was in September, and our 10-year marriage anniversary was in February. And so, we work full time together. And so I own the business, but we like to joke that he had bought me the coffee shop like an engagement ring. So he had no money for an engagement ring when we got engaged because he spent it all in the coffee shop. But we get to work full time together, and it's, really enjoyable, because we get to, not only do the work that we find really impactful, but we get to spend it with the people that we, care and love. So it's pretty much a dream.
It sounds to me that you have a real good partner there, and we should have interviewed him too. Your partner, your love.
He's out doing laundry for us right now. Because...
Oh my goodness gracious, lucky girl.
Yeah, thank you. No, I know I'm very lucky. He's very, very supportive. And so I kind of lead the ship, but he supports it every step of the way so that we can be successful in everything we do. And so we have a lot of fun.
How do you look at the future in this business?
Yeah, so I mean, the coffee industry is a little bit tough right now because there's more demand than there is supply at the moment. Global warming has affected the coffee industry in a way in which there's a lot less coffee supply than there ever has been starting in 2024. And it's looking kind of rough in terms of what that could look like. And so one thing that I'm grateful for is that I didn't just build a coffee shop, I built a coffee ecosystem, right? So we have relationships with farmers, we roast our own coffee, we have a lot of control in our supply chain, and we have a lot of relationships that we've invested in through the highs and lows of the industry. And so all that being said, we have the ability to diversify. And so, if we have a certain amount of coffee that we can get, then, we have to we have to limit that, but we can also diversify that with matcha and chai and tea and, food and different types of ways to make sure that we can thrive for the long run. And so I am, no stranger to pivoting and, trying to figure out different ways to always make sure that we're successful. And so for me, it probably looks like being really hands-on these next couple of years, making sure that we can continue to be relevant, while also having the best coffee that we can, focusing on those relationships specifically with our women-owned farms.
Do you sometimes, when it is needed, do you sometimes work as a server in your place?
No, I am not allowed to be behind bar, because as much as people would love to get a latte from me, it'll be my team will make a much better latte for you than I do. At this point, I'm all about growing the business, setting the vision, and coaching my leadership team. And so I'm very grateful to be at a place right now where that's my role. My husband, though, will jump behind bar and he can make a very good latte. So that's always a nice piece as well.
Is that how you think of helping other women out there in business who wants to follow your footsteps? Not only coffee shop business, in other kind of business.
Yeah, that's actually why I signed on as an entrepreneur in residence for Innovation DuPage. So our county, DuPage County, I get to be a mentor for other entrepreneurs in the area. And so that's a secondary role that I have to mentor a diverse array of industries, not just coffee or food. And so I can mentor someone who is a solopreneur, who is a service business, or any which way it looks like. Because at the core of it, business ownership is about creating a system that works, right? And so I've really come to love figuring out how to make systems, businesses, ecosystems thrive, and how they can affect and make a healthier, happier, wealthier community. And so, I'm all about mentoring women entrepreneurs and seeing them thrive in our local and regional area.
Are you doing something to reach out to the Filipino American community with your business?
Yeah, so when it comes to the Filipino American community, I would say that it's a little bit of a mix of a lot of different things that we do. And so we have done a Filipino women specific events pop-ups at our locations, really just to highlight the Filipino community in the Elmhurst area, in the Chicagoland suburbs, focusing on showing authors who are Filipino, food that's Filipino, and different types of things like that, so that we can really share the culture with the wider Chicagoland community.
Great, terrific. I'm really very, very proud of you with what you're doing, with your success. And Melissa, we can invite you again for an update of what you're doing in the community. And if you want to reach out more for the Filipino community, just give us a call. All right. And
of course, and if you're interested, my husband did just walk in if you want to say hi.
Their husband.
Yeah.
Man. Hello. How are you? Congratulations. Wow. I cannot call your husband as the power behind. I think both of you are the success and power behind your business. All right.
Yes. All right.
Partners, very good partners. Thank you for gracing our show today, Melissa. And what I'm saying, we are really very proud of you. Welcome to the Filipino American community. And you can call us anytime if you need further help for your business.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Maraming salamat.
Salamat.
Maraming
Po.
salamat. Opo. All right. Okay, thank you very much. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ako po si Veronica. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, Melissa. See you.
Bye. Thank you.
It's more fun in the Philippines.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, we have a very interesting young person. When I say young, he's really very young. Filipino American, and this guy, although he's young, he has been I've watched him. I've watched him in this little community of ours, and he is a very successful, multi-awarded realtor in our community. Very popular. His name is Jason Chavez. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Hi, Tita V. Glad to be here. Thanks for the nice introduction, but
Okay. Yeah, that is true though. I've watched you since I met you at the party one time. And my God, by golly, talagang ano talaga, impressive this Mr. Jason Chavez. And he is really a very successful realtor in our community. And I invited him today. Well, first thing first, please introduce yourself and what you're doing, about your company and everything. He is a realtor from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Stark Real Estate. Okay.
yes. So, hi everyone, mga kabayan, kamusta po? I'm Jason Chavez, licensed realtor, real estate broker with Berkshire Hathaway Stark Real Estate in Palatine. And I used to be the operations manager for ARIA, Greater Chicago, which stands for Asian American Real Estate Association of America. But I had to step down because we have daddy responsibility. So we do have now an 18-month-year-old baby girl. And now I'm focusing on helping our Filipino. Sorry, I just got a phone call, but I'm busy right now. But anyway, I'm working on for home buyers, home sellers, investors, and even renters. But I focus primarily on home ownership to assist and guide and educate our kababayans here in Illinois. So there's Filipino Americans, this first-time home buyers or repeat buyers, and even home sellers. They need to be educated in terms of not just about the real estate, not just about the process, but as well as about the U.S. economics, right? Because there's so many factors that affect the real estate market, and that's very crucial for people to understand because this is their hard-earned money. This is their hard-earned money, and they deserve to be educated, to be informed, and not just to guide them and tell them about how to buy a property, how to sell their property. And that's what I'm here for. And I have a background in industrial engineering. When I was in the Philippines, I was an industrial engineer, and then I studied software engineering here as well at Northeastern Illinois University. So, yun po. Thank you for listening.
How long have you been in real estate? How long have you been doing it?
So I got my license back in 2018, but I started doing the business during COVID. And I remember my first client actually got COVID. When I was showing him home, we were wearing N95 mask. and we're like distance apart from each other. So I will open the door first, get the key, and open the door for him, and I will go back in my car and call him like, hey, the door is open. You can go ahead and check the property. So that's how it started. I was like,
How you
a lot
got
of
started?
yes, a lot of Filipinos are asking for help, in terms of buying a property, but I was like, you know what, this is my calling to help these people out, get their property, get their dream house.
Wow, COVID time. You took advantage of that critical time, and you really became successful with what you're doing. And you are an immigrant from the Philippines, right? Young
That
immigrant.
that is correct, Paul. Yes,
And you officially started in 2022, and you have been successful with what you're doing. Amazing, amazing, really. And Jason, um, you still look young. You look like you're 18 years old. I'm telling you. Oh, and okay. So, all right. I invited you here today to talk about your business. I'm sure that you really love what you're doing. And I watch you. We are Facebook friends, and I watch you succeed by getting so many awards, and I mean, selling, really selling a lot of properties. And okay, so for this year, 2025, we're here in January 2025. Okay. Jason, can you please tell us what is, for the sake of our viewing audience, what is the outlook of the real estate market here in Chicago? I mean, not only in Chicago, in Illinois.
in Illinois. Yes, po, Tita. So, with regards to the current market, right? I don't mean to scare you, okay? But we are in a very crucial stage because in 4 days from now we will have a new administration, right? The Trump administration will take the office, and those things, those policies that the FOMC have already planned all the way to 2026 now needs to be changed because those were set up with with the current administration, the Biden administration, but now another administration is taking over, so they have to restructure their plan. Okay, so the first thing that we have to understand is we are in debt crisis. Our nation, as the U.S., okay, if you will go to fiscaldata.treasury.gov, we owe $36.17 trillion as a country. And you believe that? $36.17 trillion. And the main reason why is that is because our administration, the government, has been spending twice as what we are making. So the spending of the nation is $1.79 trillion. Okay. However, we only make as a country 1.08 trillion dollars. So we have a deficit of 200 we have a deficit of $711 billion as a nation accumulatively. Okay, this is historically, not just for this year, for last year. So what this means to us as home buyers, home sellers in real estate, right? So it simply means that the new administration who will be taking over has to implement strict policies to collect more money, to have more tax revenues, okay, to combat the deficit, to lessen the unnecessary spending of the country. And one of the things that the new administration is going to impose is that the tax policies or the tariff policy. So the upcoming president has already told the public, right, that he's going to charge 10% tariff to to Chinese goods, and up to 25% tariff on import products from Mexico and Canada. So if Trump is going to tax that, I mean, I know what he's doing. He's doing that to collect more tax revenue for the nation, right? To pay off our debts. We're talking about $36 trillion here, right? So it's going to take time to pay it off. So Trump has to do that. However, it's going to cost the consumers for high inflation, the inflation will reaccelerate. Right now, we're at 3.4% inflation down to 3.2% CPI index. But that inflation is still higher than the Fed's goal, which is 2%. So we're still above there. So to make it short and simple, right? The new administration's policies will reaccelerate inflation by imposing taxes and tariffs on our basic goods, right? Because these countries like Mexico, Canada, and China, they hold pretty much a lot of volume of our household products, our daily products, from food, from basic commodities. So if the government will impose tariffs and tax to these nations, to these products, the distributor, the manufacturer, all of these big guys, right, in the industry, they will pass it on to the end consumer, which is us. And guess what? The prices of everything, basic goods and commodities, will go up, and that will correlate to the housing market. So what's going to the housing market is, if everything goes up, right, the labor, materials to cost a house, everything's going to go up. There will be inflation, and the interest rate will not come down. The interest rate right now, if you go to mortgage.com, Mortgage News Daily, it ended at 7.07% for conventional 30-year fix. If you go to CNBC, it's at 7.11%. So do you think the government will lower the rate down if we have a high inflation, if the inflation will go back? No, because we don't want to encounter the same problem that we've had during COVID. Because during COVID, when I started doing real estate, rates were so low because people were afraid to spend money. So in order to motivate the consumers, the government lowered the Fed fund rate down to almost 0%. That also affected the 30-year fixed mortgage rate. So a lot of buyers bought property and refinanced their homes to those home sellers during that time. That actually moved the prices of homes to go up. I had clients who were buying homes with $10,000 to $15,000 more than the asking, because they want to catch the lower interest rate, right, which is around 2.5 to 3%. So in Illinois alone, there's a good and bad, right? If you were a homeowner, okay, your properties have gone up by, see here in the data, so by 5.4% increase. So in 2024, the median home price for the entire Illinois is now $295,000 year over year. However, the housing inventory remains low. It's basic law of supply and demand. If there's so much inventory, so much supply, and the demand is low, right, then that's the only time that the price will go down. But if there's low inventory, why there's low inventory? Because a lot of homeowners, they want to hold their property because they have lower interest rate, because they refinanced during 2020. Why would they sell their house just in order for them to get a smaller house and pay the same thing? So they will keep their properties and they will not sell it, right? That's why most houses nowadays in the market are the ones that are either divorced properties or estate sale, right? Like, it's really rare to see someone who wanted to sell their house just to get a new house. So in a different perspective, with the new administration taking over, they're gonna lessen some restrictions to the builders across the nation. The top builder that I'm working with, D.R. Horton, they are building so many homes across the U.S. and they're giving away up to $10,000 closing cost incentives, and you can find it with a regular mortgage banker, and they can give you as low as 4.99% for 30-year fix. So the thing is, a lot of people are still afraid to get into real estate, in today's market in 2025 because of the high interest rates. But here's what I'll tell you: high interest rates, right, 7% or 6%, they're not going to be there forever. It's a cycle. The government has to keep up and reduce the interest rate because they are also paying, okay, interest rates or interest on the government's debt. We have debt. So if you have a debt and you have high interest, you got to do something to lower that interest, right? And the 30-year fixed mortgage correlates to the 10-year treasury yield. So come to think of this, right? If someone owes a lot of money because that person, say for example, that person makes $10,000 a month and he spends $20,000 a month. So he's going to go bankrupt at the end of the day. So what he's doing is, in order for him to pay off the debt, is borrowing money from someone. So he's selling bonds. The country is selling bonds. The problem is if no one will buy bonds from the US, the government, okay, will raise the interest rate to encourage this buyers. Could be China, could be Europe, right? This outside countries, or even private investors, so they can attract people to buy bonds. So if they do so, they will increase the interest rate, and it's going to be a dangerous cycle for the economy. But nothing is permanent, right? The only thing that I tell people is why it's still always a good thing to buy a house is because real estate property values is always on an upward trend. If you miss the boat, if you miss the train, for example, for a $300,000 condo, right? Then you will never see that $300,000 condo again because there's no way but up. The real estate market in the entire history from 1940s to 2025 was already down for like 6 times, like only 6 years. Imagine that. That's from 2000, let's say 2025 minus 1941, we're talking about 85 years, right? But the market was only down in just 6 years. So right now, I have a lot of clients that I'm working with. Most of them are thinking of buying, but I tell them, like what you always hear from realtors and mortgage officers, right? Marry the house and date the rate, because once you miss the price of the house, it's never gonna go back. Because the only way that the market will crash is if there's more supply, meaning more houses for sale. And one of the things that could trigger that is if people can't afford to pay their mortgage, then they're gonna go for a closure, and that's the time that we will have oversupply. But as long as people have jobs, right? People are making money, people are paying off have the capability to pay their mortgage, then there's gonna be no crash. You will just keep on. There's always a cost of waiting. Every time you wait, you're losing the opportunity to buy a house for a cheaper price, because that house that you've been looking on the internet, right? That was listed for $400,000 before. It's now $450,000 now. So, yeah, did that.
No, that I'm aware of that. So, you mentioned all these facts that's supposedly to be in the offing, because this week is the inauguration of President Trump, and we are welcoming him as our new president. And it sounds to me that as far as the real estate, facts are concerned, it looks like it's kind of dim, dark and dim for the consumers, for the buyers and sellers. So, well, do you think that government policy will really be enforced? It's a sort of, how sure are you that it's going to be enforced?
Well, in terms of assurance, right? There's no such thing as 100% assurance and accuracy, because knowing the newly elected president, right? Sometimes he says something in public, but then change it once he's there in the position, right? But to me, it's necessary for the government to do that, because that's the only way to combat the deficit, right? Because the administration has spent so much, right? So much money. We don't know where the money went to, right? We don't want to get into that, but the challenge is that the new administration has to do something to lessen the expenses of the government. That's why you probably heard of Elon Musk and Vivek, who will be leading the imaginary government agency called DOGE, right? Department of Government Efficiency, because their goal is to kind of audit the IRS, audit this, government bodies, right, to make sure that they're not wasting government funds. But it's necessary for the government to do so, so that way we can lower expenses and make sure that we are spending the budget wisely, and pay off the deficit and make more taxes revenue based off the tariff and other tax policies that the new administration is going to impose.
Okay, Jason. All right, I got you. What what do you think of is, I mean, this is another foreboding news about, and I know that you're aware of it, about many, many people are moving out of the state of Illinois
Mm-hmm.
because the problem about number one is property tax in Illinois. It's one of the highest in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Stable, but
So yeah, so in terms of that, it really depends from which country. I mean, from which country these people are going to, based on some stats that I've seen before, right? Most people from Illinois, they move to warmer places like Texas or Florida, right? Because they want somewhere warmer. But in terms of property taxes, it really depends on the location. Some areas of Illinois still have lower property taxes. Like right now, the hottest city or town in Illinois in terms of real estate is actually Rockford. Like that's really the hottest right now. The affordability and faster sales are actually going into Rockford, and the median home price in Rockford has actually gone up to $242,000 compared to Chicago, which is $337,000. So in terms of in terms of the taxes, I can argue that California is still worse than Illinois, right? I'm not going to say worse, but we are still better off California and New York in terms of property taxes. That's why a lot of people like actually personally serve clients who move from California, bought a single family home, new construction home in Elgin with Lennar, because they spent almost $600,000. I forgot the price of the house, but I can pull it up. But it's less than $1 million, right? They told me we can never find a house as big as this, as beautiful as this, as new as this, with less than $700,000. With that price, we'll probably be able to buy a smaller house, not so nice house with that price. And taxes are ridiculous, right? So,
okay. All right. So what can you advise to some people still would like to remain here in the state of Illinois in spite of, okay. And so what can you advise either, if you're in the market, either seller or buyer of real estate here in Illinois? What is the outlook?
So yeah, for the outlook in terms of Illinois, in terms of the housing market, we're not the best state out there, right? Because I'll just look at the U.S. migration data from Redfin, right? So it says there the top 10 areas that people are moving to, okay, is Sacramento, California, Cape Coral. Okay, they're moving to Sacramento, California, Cape Coral, Florida, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Salisbury, Maryland, Portland, Maine, Las Vegas, Nevada, Sarasota, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona, Nashville, Tennessee, and Hilo, Hawaii. So none of these towns or places are Chicago or Illinois, right? But it says right here on the other hand, top 10 areas people are moving from. We're in the top 6. Chicago's in the top 6. Top 1 is LA, California. A lot of people are moving out of LA. New York is the second. Third is San Francisco. Fourth is Seattle.
The wildfires, LA
Wildfires. Yeah, that's one thing that I would actually mention about, though it's not really related to real estate, but at some point, the natural disaster affects the people's preferences, right, in terms of finding a place to go. So I've been talking about this with my wife and with my cousins, because I have cousins in Atlanta, in New Jersey, in North Carolina, and Florida, right, and even California. And we were just joking around. Like I always tell them, like, I think Illinois is the safest state so far, because those states are by the coast are actually always getting hit by natural disasters, natural phenomena like wildfire or probably tsunami, or hurricanes, flood, and we don't have alligator here. The only thing that people are hate about Illinois is the cold weather, and that's it. But you can always double your jacket, right? And that's why you have a car to drive. You have heater in your car, but
Rather face the snowstorms and the blizzards.
well, yeah, but it's not as worse. It's not as worse as before, right? Because for the past couple of years, I think snowstorms were worse. Because now, like we have a very minimal snow so far, and we're almost halfway January,
I think
right?
I say that too. Yeah, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah,
Count our blessings. Or always count our blessings anyway.
right, right. Because if
Okay.
if your houses get hit by natural phenomena, you'll have to pay insurance. Your
Yeah.
insurance premium will go up.
All right, Jason. I congratulate you for what you're doing, and I think we're running out of time. One last word. The last quick words.
One
To
last quick
our
word.
kids.
All right, boss. So yeah, knowing that as a nation we are in a very dark, I would say dark debt crisis. It's a turmoil, right? Imagine you live in a country where you think like this is the superpower, right? U.S. is the richest country around the world, but now that you know that we actually owe $36.17 trillion, and the government keeps on spending money. So, and inflation will always beat your savings. If you have $100,000 savings in your savings account, 2 years down the road, if inflation keeps going up, that $100,000 value is not the same in 2 years. So the best way for you to protect your hard-earned money is to invest it in assets that appreciate. And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about real estate. Real estate is proven and tested. Not just I'm not don't listen to me, okay? And I know I'm a realtor, so I'm gonna push you to sell your house or buy houses, right? But do your due diligence. Go check out government websites, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The best way to protect your hard-earned money is to always invest in appreciating assets, and it's not just limited to real estate. You can also buy gold, silver, those tangible assets. You could buy an actual gold and keep it to your room, right? But what I'm saying is, don't just save up money and leave them in your bank or put them under your bed or in your chest, because those money will be weakened by the inflation. So you have to find a way to combat the inflation. By far, real estate appreciates for at least 3% to 5% a year. Inflation is inflation by far, right, is around 3.2%. So imagine that if you're saving money, the bank will just give you maybe a fraction of what you put in there in their account, right?
Correct.
Instead of buying a real estate where you have more appreciation. And not just that, because I have a lot of friends who own who own stocks, cryptos. I do cryptos as well. But what I tell them is this: I get it. You have so much money in your stocks account, right? In your Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch, name them, right? But I don't care, because you don't enjoy them now. When are you going to enjoy it? When you cash it, when you sell your stocks, your shares. If you have a real estate, you get to bring your friends, let them enjoy your beautiful house while you're making money, while you're letting your house appreciate over time. So real estate is the only asset where you can make money through appreciation, right? You have tax benefits as well. At the same time, you get to enjoy it with your family and friends.
Great, terrific, beautiful financial advice. You will be our guru there. One of these days, pagtanda-tanda mo.
Yes, it's always a pleasure, Paul. I'm always here. I'm a giver. If you have any questions, just don't hesitate to ask me. Even if there's no guarantee that you will work with me, I'm okay.
Number,
What?
telephone number.
Oh, my phone number, you can reach me at 312-801-0451. Jason Chavez, your realtor.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. Your Jason has Jasohn.
Correct, Tita V, the only one.
HN. All right, talagang Pinoy. All right. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Jason. At hanggang sa muli.
Yes, Paul.
Alright.
Thanks for having me, guys. God bless you. Thank you,
Alright.
Paul.
At maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ako po si Veronica. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Bye.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po.
Good afternoon, this is Brigitte Carino Cueter, bringing you this week's local news from our community. Over the last few weeks, the media and Democrats have been lambasting President Donald Trump for cutting the Department of Education's research budget. In particular, the media criticized the Trump administration for cutting a contractor's research into support services for students with disabilities who are nearing graduation. But it's not clear that the research was necessary or successful, and there is already both state and federal funding aimed at helping students with disabilities to develop life skills and plans for the future. And now public has obtained invoices showing that the department's contractor for the research in question, American Institute for Research, AIR, had significantly overcharged the department in so-called indirect costs. A group of 250 individuals identified as members of criminal organizations have arrived in El Salvador for following their deportation from the United States. The detainees were flown in under international security agreement and are set to be held in one of the country's highest security prison facilities designed to contain violent gang members. Authorities in El Salvador confirmed that the individuals are being processed upon arrival and will be placed under strict confinement in the mega prison known for housing in some of the region's most dangerous criminals. The facility, equipped with extensive surveillance and security measures, was built as part of the government's ongoing crackdown on organized crime. Officials stated that this transfer is part of a broader initiative to combat transnational criminal networks by ensuring that individuals with ties to illicit activities are removed from foreign communities and held accountable under Salvadorian law. The government has reiterated its commitment to dismantling gang operations that have long plagued the country and contributed to instability in the region. Illinois stands to become leader in the production of sustainable aviation fuel. Corn and soybean farmers in Illinois look to benefit from another byproduct of their fields, sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF. Is made from non-petroleum feedstocks that reduces emissions from air transportation. It takes about 1.5 gallons of ethanol to make 1 gallon of sustainable aviation fuel. All conventional aircraft are capable of flying on a maximum of 50% blend of SAF and jet fuel. However, by 2030, it is expected that a large portion of airplanes will be capable of flying with up to 100% SAF. At this week's Sustainable Aviation Fuel and Beyond Conference in Rosemont, Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker said the state is positioned to be a major player in the aviation fuel producing market. During today's regularly scheduled Illinois Gaming Board meeting, the IGB administrator reminded Illinoisans that March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, noting that the agency is working with the Illinois Department of Human Services and others in bringing awareness to gambling addiction and recovery. Problem gambling awareness and responsible gambling education demand our collective attention, effort, and action, and not just for 1 month a year, said Illinois Gaming Board Administrator Marcus D. Fruchter. The IGB maintains its commitment to the safety of Illinois gambling and is pleased to collaborate with Governor J.B. Pritzker, IDHS, the Illinois Council on Problem Gambling, Building Owners and Managers Association of Chicago, and other entities during this month and throughout the year to encourage and facilitate responsible gaming, address problem gambling head-on, and ensure that those who need help get the support, resources, and services they deserve without stigmatization and undue barriers. On Saturday, March 15th, 2025, Red Cross volunteers and community partners joined to install free smoke alarms for local families vulnerable to home fires during a Sound the Alarm event in the southwest side of Chicago near Midway Airport. This effort is part of a national Red Cross Sound the Alarm initiative to install free smoke alarms in vulnerable communities across the country. Having a working smoke alarm cuts the risk of dying in a home fire in half. To date, our home fire campaign has saved 2,266 lives nationally, and in Illinois, we have saved 45 people because of this program. Sound the Alarm kick off with remarks and volunteer training, followed by smoke alarm installations at area homes where volunteer teams will also discuss home fire safety with families. The Illinois Department of Human Rights Director Jim Bennett and the Illinois Office to Prevent and End Homelessness issued a letter to remind public officials and local units of government of their obligations under the Illinois Human Rights Act, the Illinois Civil Rights Act of 2003, and the Bill of Rights for the Homeless Act. No one should be denied access to Illinois public spaces because they lack housing, said IDHR Director Jim Bennett. We encourage local public officials to take proactive steps to eliminate discriminatory barriers and create inclusive environments that reflect our state's commitment to protect the right to live free from discrimination in every aspect of life. That's all for today. Thank you for watching the news this week. This is Brigitte. See you next time.